Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're taking a look at something pretty amazing. It's called DeepSeek VL2.
DeepSeek VL2. Intriguing name.
Right. It got my eye, too. We've got this technical report all about it. And, well, AI's everywhere these days.
True. Hard to escape the headlines.
But DeepSeek VL2, this one's different. We're not just talking about data crunching. This AI is processing images and, get this, text all at the same time.
So, like, it can see and read.
That's the idea. It's almost like giving an AI a set of eyes and a brain that can make sense of what it's seeing and reading.
A multimodal powerhouse, then.
You got it. And the report doesn't disappoint. It dives into some pretty wild stuff DeepSeek VL2 can do, like answering your questions, not just about text, but about pictures, too.
Seriously?
Yeah. And hold on, it even gets the humor in memes. There's some examples in the report, like it understood a Tom and Jerry meme with a cake, and one about clinging to that vacation feeling. Even nailed one about exam anxiety. Totally got the joke.
Wow. So it's not just processing, it's understanding, like, on a human level.
It's getting there, and that's what's so fascinating. It even wrote little stories based on a bunch of pictures it was given.
Okay, color me impressed. So what sets DeepSeek VL2 apart? What makes it tick?
Well, the report dives into the tech behind it. It's got this mixture of experts architecture.
Mixture of experts, huh? Sounds complicated.
It is, but think of it this way. Imagine a team of specialists, each one the best in their field.
Okay, I'm following.
So instead of one giant AI trying to do everything, DeepSeek VL2 divides the tasks. Each expert tackles the part they're best at.
Makes sense. Divide and conquer. Right?
Exactly. And the report says this makes it incredibly efficient, especially for these complex tasks, like juggling images and text at the same time.
So smarter, not harder.
You could say that. And here's the kicker, this mixture of experts thing. It means DeepSeek VL2 doesn't need a supercomputer to run.
Oh, that's interesting. More accessible then.
Much more. And that's a big deal. It means more researchers and developers can get their hands on it, more brains working on it, more potential for, well, who knows what.
Democratizing AI, sort of?
In a way, yeah. And speaking of doing more with less, DeepSeek VL2 can handle these crazy high-resolution images.
Ah, so it can see the fine details.
Down to the pixel. The report actually mentions its predecessor struggled with those kinds of images.
Interesting. So what changed? How do they solve that?
They got clever. DeepSeek VL2 uses this dynamic tiling strategy. Imagine a giant jigsaw puzzle, right?
Sure, I can picture it.
Instead of trying to solve it all at once, you break it down into smaller, manageable pieces. That's what dynamic tiling does. DeepSeek VL2 breaks the image into tiles, processes each one, and then stitches the info back together.
So it's like zooming in on the details, then getting the whole picture.
Bingo. And that attention to detail, it's crucial for a lot of things, like pinpointing specific objects in a picture.
Like, find the cat hiding behind the couch.
Exactly. And the report highlights this cool ability. They call it visual grounding. Basically, DeepSeek VL2 can find things in an image just based on what you tell it.
Okay, now that's just cool. So if I say find the red apple, it actually points it out.
You got it. Like, it understands both the words and the picture at the same time. It's almost as if.
It's thinking.
Right. It's wild.
So it's not just looking, it's understanding.
And that's what makes this tech so fascinating.
It's really pushing the boundaries. The report even talks about DeepSeek VL2 having conversations, like actual back and forth, and it's referring to things in the images. Spot on, accurate.
You touched on that earlier. Grounded conversation, they call it.
Right, right. What kind of potential do you see in that? I mean, talking to an AI that actually gets what you're looking at, that's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. It's like bridging the gap between the virtual world and our real physical world. The possibilities are, well, almost endless. But before we get lost in the potential, let's break down how DeepSeek VL2 actually pulls this off. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore the nuts and bolts, the architecture, the training, the whole 9 yards. Okay, so we've seen what DeepSeek VL2 can do, but now I'm really curious about how it all works under the hood. The report describes a 3-part structure, almost like an orchestra, they say.
A 3-part harmony for AI. I like that.
Right. So walk us through these parts. What's the first one?
First up, you've got the vision encoder. Think of it like the eyes of DeepSeek VL2.
Okay, the eyes. What do they do?
They process the images. See, the AI can't just look at a picture like we do. The encoder extracts the important features, the shapes, the colors, the textures, all that, and turns it into a language the AI can understand.
So translating pictures into AI language.
Exactly. And that brings us to the second part, the vision language adapter.
The adapter. What's its role in this orchestra?
Think of it as the bridge, the conductor maybe, connecting those visual features from the encoder to the language model. It's what makes sure those two worlds, the visual and the language, can actually work together.
Ah, so it's like a translator, making sure everyone understands each other.
Perfect analogy. And that leads us to the final part, the heart of it all, the language model.
The brain of the operation.
Exactly. This is where DeepSeek VL2 really shines. It takes all that combined information, the visuals and the text, and starts making sense of it. Answering questions, figuring out the meaning, even getting creative with those stories we talked about.
The report gets pretty technical when describing this language model. They throw around terms like DeepSeek MOE and multi-head latent attention. What's all that about?
Right, right. Well, DeepSeek MOE, that's just a fancy way of saying mixture of experts, remember? It's the secret sauce that makes the language model so efficient and powerful. As for the multi-head latent attention, or MLA, it's all about information compression.
Information compression, like zipping a file.
Sort of. It's how the model sifts through all that data, processes it quickly without getting bogged down, makes it faster, more responsive.
Okay, so super efficient, got it. But having this complex structure is one thing.
Hmm.
How does DeepSeek VL2 actually learn? The report mentions a three-stage training process: VL alignment, VL pre-training, and then supervised fine-tuning.
They weren't kidding about intense training.
Break it down for us. What happens in each stage?
Sure. So stage one, VL alignment, it's all about teamwork. Remember that vision language adapter, our translator? Well, this is where it really learns to do its job, connecting those visual features to the language model in a way that makes sense.
Training the translator for peak performance.
Exactly. Then comes stage two, VL pre-training. Now, this is where the heavy lifting happens. It's like sending DeepSeek VL2 to AI bootcamp. They feed it massive amounts of data, images, text, captions, the whole shebang. This is how it builds that deep understanding of how visuals and language connect.
So cramming for the AI SATs, basically.
You could say that. This pre-training is like laying the foundation, giving it a wide base of knowledge to work with. But there's one more step. Stage three, supervised fine-tuning.
Okay, last stage of training. What's the focus here?
Think of it like taking all that raw knowledge and honing it into specific skills. It's like going from a jack of all trades to a master craftsman. They train DeepSeek VL2 on very specific tasks so it can excel in those areas.
From general knowledge to specialized expertise.
Precisely. Now, one thing that really struck me about the training, they used such a variety of data. I mean, they really threw everything at it.
The report does mention that, a diverse data diet. It went way beyond the usual image caption pairs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
General knowledge, optical character recognition, document understanding, visual question answering. They even threw in some meme comprehension.
Hold on, memes again. So are they saying DeepSeek VL2 can understand why WE find them funny?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's one thing to recognize patterns, but to grasp humor, that cultural context, that's something else entirely. And it's what makes DeepSeek VL2 so fascinating.
Absolutely. But all this data, all this training, I can't imagine the computing power needed. Do they need a supercomputer for this?
Well, that's the surprising part. Remember that mixture of experts architecture. It's so efficient that they didn't need a supercomputer. The report details their setup. They used a cluster of powerful GPUs, those graphical processing units, but it's still something within reach for many research institutions, even some companies.
They're not just limited to the big players. That's great. More access, more potential for, well, who knows what.
That's the beauty of it. And the report makes it clear that DeepSeek VL2 being open source, it's all about collaboration. They're encouraging everyone to get involved to push this field of multimodal AI even further. But enough about the technical stuff, right? Let's see what this AI can really do. In the last part of our deep dive, we'll explore some real-world examples of DeepSeek VL2 in action and talk about how it could change everything from robotics to, well, your living room.
All right, so we've peeked behind the curtain, seen how DeepSeek VL2 works its magic. Now let's talk about what it can actually do in the real world. One thing that really grabbed me in the report, this idea that this tech could bridge that gap between, the virtual world and like our physical reality.
It's a game changer for sure. We've talked about grounded conversation, but the report goes even further, talking about applications in robotics.
Yeah, the robots.
Robots with DeepSeek VL2, they could navigate these crazy complex environments, manipulate objects, and with a level of understanding we just haven't seen before.
They give this example in the report, a search and rescue robot,
Right.
And someone says, find the child trapped under the debris. And the robot actually gets it.
It's incredible.
DeepSeek VL2, it can combine the visual and the language processing so the robot can understand the command, analyze the scene, and, like, actually locate the child.
It's powerful stuff. Really shows how this technology could, make a real difference, be used for good.
And it's not just, like, disaster relief, right? They talk about healthcare, too.
Huge potential there. Think about robots assisting surgeons with these really intricate procedures or providing care to patients, but in a way that's more personalized, more intuitive.
It's mind-blowing. And then the report brings it back down to earth a bit, talk about smart homes.
Ah, yes, smart homes actually becoming smart.
Right. With DeepSeek VL2, it's not just about responding to basic commands anymore. It's like having an AI that gets the context of your home.
So you could say something like, I spilled coffee on the rug, and
It wouldn't just, like, give you a snarky reply.
exactly. DeepSeek VL2 with access to cameras and stuff, it could pinpoint the spill, tell a cleaning robot to take care of it, the whole 9 yards.
It's like having a truly helpful AI roommate, one that cleans up spills.
Now that's progress. But the report does highlight some challenges. Blurry images, unfamiliar objects. DeepSeek VL2 still struggles with those.
Yeah, I noticed that. Did that mean it's not ready for prime time?
Well, it's important to remember this is still early days for this tech, and that's where the open source aspect comes in. They've made the models, the data, all of it available so anyone can contribute, help it evolve.
So it's a work in progress.
Absolutely. But with so much brain power focused on it, imagine what it could become. The report even hints at some cool future directions they're exploring.
Like what?
Well, one thing is expanding the context window. Basically, how much information the model can handle at once. That could lead to even more sophisticated reasoning, deeper understanding.
So AI that can really think things through.
That's the goal. And the potential impact, huge. It could change everything, how we search for information, how we learn. DeepSeek VL2, it's really a glimpse into the future.
A future where AI isn't just a tool. It's like a partner, helping us solve problems, understand the world. Mind-blowing stuff.
It really is. But as this technology keeps developing, I think it's important to have those conversations, the ones about the impact, the good, and the maybe not so good.
Right, making sure it's developed responsibly.
Exactly. Ethics, safety, all of that. It's a powerful tool, and we need to make sure it's used for good.
This has been an incredible deep dive. Thanks for walking us through it.
My pleasure.
For everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking questions, because this field of AI, it's just getting started. And who knows what amazing breakthroughs are just around the corner. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep those brains buzzing.